people in here. Let's have a good, genuine discussion. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth to my Black Americans out there, my Solon people. Happy Juneteenth to y'all. We are having this discussion today, and it's just appropriate that we have this discussion today. I was going to run another subject, but I decided that today being Juneteenth, we got to have this subject. We got to have this subject up. Because I already know most people are not going to like that third one. Yeah, I mean, the other two people could debate a little bit, but that third one gets people riled up, which is okay. You know what I mean? I like to have those type of discussions. All right, we got one person coming on up.
Yo, why? Tell me how black people should get reparations, bro.
All right, so first of all, happy grandpa, right? Are you over 18 and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yeah.
Yeah, what, you over 18?
Yes, and I disagree with something you have on the board.
All right, great, cool. All right, we're going to go ahead and have a talk for about 15 minutes. Happy Juneteenth, happy grandpa.
I don't celebrate.
Say that again?
I don't celebrate.
Happy Juneteenth anyway. We should all celebrate freedom from slavery. Anyway, why do you disagree with reparations?
Because I don't. Why should I give you my money?
You're not giving me your money.
Why should the government give taxpayer money to black people?
Because the government damaged the black community.
Yeah, a gazillion years ago.
No, they didn't. That wasn't a gazillion years ago.
Were you a slave?
Reparations weren't only for slavery.
What else are they for?
Reparations will also be for policies such as redlining, which is the most dominant one that damaged the African American community. Also, the war on drugs, which the Nixon administration admitted was to target the black community. Also for the Jim Crow era. Also for mass incarceration, which all studies have shown actually targets African Americans.
No, it doesn't. You're just delusional, bud.
Yeah, it does. It targets African Americans specifically. Well, I'll be fair to you. It specifically targets people in poverty, but the people who were purposely made poor were who?
Yo, this is black supremacy at its finest, guys.
Okay, you're not actually engaging in the conversation. Okay, goodbye. Happy grandpa. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all. Go ahead and keep liking it live and keep sharing it. Keep liking it live, keep sharing it. Everybody go ahead and come on up. All right, Rodney, you think woke means stupid, so I'm going to go ahead and invite you up, all right? All right, Missy, I'm not sure what you're saying really too. Let's see, the dollar could fall soon. The majority of blacks voted for open borders. Nah, that's not true. All right, Ollie, come on up. Why don't you come on up, Ollie? Here's the thing, y'all. Oh, wait, I can't invite you up. But here's the thing, y'all. I don't like to talk to the comments. So if you disagree with me on something, just come on up and actually have a conversation with me. All right, Fubar, why don't you come on up as well? Here's the thing, y'all. Like, don't just talk to the comments, all right? Don't just type in the comments. Actually come on up if you actually want to have a discussion. As y'all see with the last guest, I was more than willing to have any type of discussion with them. All right, B. Baster, you think that I fell for propaganda? I'm also going to invite you up. I already told y'all, like, I'm not just going to sit here and talk to the comments, y'all. I'm not going to sit here and talk to the comments. I'm going to invite you up if you disagree with something I have on the board. And yeah, I'm a very nice guy. I'm a very kind person. I can always have a genuine and honest discussion. I have no problem with that. Yes, Blake, being woke is good. Come on up and tell me why you disagree. I'm gonna just keep inviting y'all up. Don't be scared. All right, Angela, go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and invite you up as well, Angela. Oh, I can't invite you up, Angela. Too bad. All right, DEI was not reparations. I'm gonna invite you up, Crumb Master. Why do y'all be afraid to come up? That's the thing. Why do y'all not want to come up, bro? Actually talk to me, yo. All right, so B Week said, my sorry life is due to my laziness, not my color. All right, B Week. I'm not sure why you say my life is sorry for because I'm married. I'm in my own place that I have right now. I make a good living. I actually was in the military for 6 years. Yeah, I mean, I served honorably. I got an honorable discharge from the Air Force. So I'm not sure what you mean by sorry life. Why don't you stop being afraid and actually come up and talk to me? All right, we got NGL coming on up.
Nah,
How's it going, NGL?
I'm doing good.
All right, cool. Are you over 18 and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yes, I'm over 10, and yes, I do disagree with the things that you have on the board.
All righty, happy Juneteenth. What do you disagree with and why?
Yeah. So the first claim, that being America was never good. So my question is, my follow-up question is going to be, so first of all, how would you define good, right? Because obviously that's a very vague term.
I would define great as it living up to it's living up to its values and principles and the way that it treats its citizens, which America has never done. They have shown flashes of doing so, which means America can be great. It's just not at the moment. It never has been.
Interesting. Yeah. So I'm not sure if we're conflating good as in like idealistically, so like an ideal representation of the U.S. as it corresponds to its principles, or good as in the majority of the values that it partakes in and it upholds properly. I'm just kind of curious as to what you mean by good here, right?
I just told you, like, it living up to the principles that it proposes that it has. If it doesn't live up to those principles, then it's not doing good. And the way that it treats its citizens, like it's been a
Not just the principles, not just its own principles, but the treaties, such as the treaties with the Indians. We have never held our end of the bargain.
right, correct.
Even
But
today.
give me a second, Ian, because I kind of go one at a time. But yeah, NGL, you understand what I'm saying? Exactly what I'm saying? What I said?
Yeah, well, I'd argue that it's almost impossible to uphold all these values. Like, and I think that's like these values can only get implemented in like an idealistic reality, right? So when we say is America great, right? I think a better metric that we could appeal to would be great as in like economic prosperity, great as in like general human rights, like
Exactly.
human
You need to define what great is first.
Hold on.
Like,
Everybody, slow down. I go one at a time. Nobody interrupt. Go ahead, NGL. Keep saying. Keep
Yeah, I
going.
apologize. Yeah, so simply to summarize my point, I don't think great would refer to like upholding all of our values and principles, given the fact that upholding those principles would be inherently impossible and only something that could happen like an idealistic reality, right? So, however, when we look at great, which is kind of why I asked you to define great, because I would disagree with how you're using it like connotatively.
Okay. This is the thing. Okay. So I'm going. Let's say this. When the Mustache Man ruled Germany, they had a lot of economic output. Are you going to say that Yahtzee Germany was great?
Of course not.
Exactly. So it's not economic output doesn't tell you how good a country is doing. We have to go with how it's treating its citizens and what principles it's upholding, right?
Of course, yeah, I agree with
All
that.
right. So now you're saying that that it'll be impossible to uphold the principles that America has, but I think that's untrue. America has actually shown that it can actually uphold principles of equality and liberty and justice for all. It just doesn't do it.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, what examples are you referring to?
Jim Crow.
Jim Crow is sorry, what? No,
talking
no,
about?
sorry, no, because you said that the U.S. has shown the ability to do so. I'm asking for examples of that.
Like America has shown its ability to actually uphold equality.
Yeah,
Yeah, the civil rights legislation that showed that America is able to actually uphold equality, but
Yeah.
and we actually can we actually can do it. It's just in multiple instances we're actually not doing it.
yeah. That's kind of the point, right? So the legislation is going to be the values that the American people are meant to uphold. But the question is, when has those values ever been upheld? And the point I'm trying to make here is that upholding these values would be idealistic in nature. It would be inherently impossible to uphold these values, given the fact that there's too many factors that we would consider. And by the way, to add on to that, under what index, which is going back to my initial question, So how would you, under what index do you consider something to be good, right? Because again, when we refer to a relative to general history, or just history in general, sorry, America has done much better than nearly every other country in the past in terms of not only civil rights but economic prosperity and definitely other things, right? So that's why I'm asking you, asking you what you mean by good here.
America has done good in economic prosperity because all the other countries like went to shit after World War II. You see what I'm saying? And not only that, that economic prosperity was built on, like it was built on basically like the exploitation of its like lower classes. You see what I'm saying? So while the economics of America expanded during the 50s, you know what I mean, we saw an economic boom, but that boom was only experienced by one set of people. The other set of people were being exploited for their labor.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Right. So like when if we just keep saying economic output is greatness and we've done great and all these other things, we have to remember that all of that output and all of those benefits were only being experienced by one demographic of people for the majority of this country's history, and arguably still is.
Correct. Oh yeah. Well, so I would agree with what you said there. However, just for your understanding, I'm referring to the modern day, and even then, going under the assumption that this wealth or this prosperity is only exhibited or is only experienced by a specific group of people. When we look at the median, like a median income, or if we look at like GDP, like input and output, right? Even those numbers, and like for the average person, are much higher in contrast to nearly all other societies and all other countries throughout history. So, generally speaking, when we come up with a specific index as to how we consider something to be good, we look at the country standing in contrast to all other countries. And given that specific metric, we see that America has been great or in fact amazing in contrast to all these other countries in history. So, to finalize my point, what I'm trying to say here is that to say that America has never reached this state as to which it's not can be considered good, I feel like you're portraying this idealistic criteria for what you consider something to be good. Which
Why should I not? Because like we both just agreed that even though Yahtzee Germany was putting out great economic output, they were not great because of principles that they upheld.
Yeah, correct.
So we just shouldn't go by economic output
that was
because
identity culture.
Hold on. If we just go by economic output, we can call China great too. But a lot of people don't agree with what China's doing. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's not just economic output, therefore greatness. We have to look at more than that.
Yeah.
and
So just to add on to that, so my
great.
criteria was specifically economic output and prosperity. So that was going to be a part of my criteria or an index of my criteria. However, it does not encompass the criteria entirely.
All right. So a part of your criteria is just economic output.
Yeah. So that's going to be a measurement. However, it doesn't encompass the criteria entirely. So I gave you an accumulation of economic prosperity and civil rights, which I would agree to the fact that the civil rights, as it currently stands, obviously is imperfect. However, the point here is to say that America is not good, which to presuppose that good to be good, we'd have to appeal to this idealistic criteria, which I'm saying it's nearly impossible to reach.
What I'm saying is that, and I'm saying that it's not. Why is it impossible to have equality for all Americans? How's that impossible?
Yeah, because it's very idealistic.
We have
What do you mean
classes. That's an economical thing.
Wait, hold, just please stop interrupting. I go one at a time. When we talk about like equal opportunity for all Americans, you're saying that we cannot have equal opportunity for all Americans because it's an idea.
Yeah,
That doesn't make sense to me.
It's very idealistic, right?
So
yeah, so the whole idea of like equality, let's say for example, economically or just socially, and just before I even get there, like your economic status ties in with your social status. But to even implement this kind of ideology, you would have to veer off to some kind of extreme socialist, extreme communist kind of depiction. And even
what is socialism? What is communism to you?
I'm sorry. Wait, let me finish.
What is socialism? What is communism to you?
Yeah. So socialism is like a classless, moneyless society. But
Well, that's
even
communism.
Okay, that's fine.
Socialist
Well, that's the, just so you know, an extreme depiction of socialism would obviously veer off to communism. But yeah, so socialism would be like to reduce or to dumb it down simply would be a form of equality, right? But to add on to that, when we see representations of these kind of economic systems throughout society, a lot of them they veer off to corruption. they veer off to different things, and this can be very much explained to the human condition. Not
What
only
we
that,
have now,
Sorry, what?
like what we have now,
Like in what sense? What do you mean by that?
corruption. Everything that people say will happen under capitalism, happen under socialism, already happens under capitalism.
No, I
Starvation,
agree with that. I
corruption,
don't-
oligarchy.
That's fine. I agree with that. But the point here is, just so you know, the point here is that to reach this this system of equality, whether that be through like civil rights, or whether that be through like the economy or prosperity in general, is very idealistic in nature, because all representation of this, all attempts to reach that state, ultimately fails. And we can explain this via the human condition. We can explain this through various confounding variables, confounding factors.
Okay,
that-
so NGL, let me understand what you're saying. You're saying that we cannot live in a society where a poor kid and a rich kid have the same quality of education because it's too idealistic. That's what you're saying?
Well, unfortunately, obviously, this would be the goal that everybody would want to reach. However,
No, I'm
ultimately,
asking,
I
is
think
that
it's
possible to
yeah.
do? Is that possible to do? Is it possible
No, I don't
to have
think that's
this?
possible. no.
All right, that's bullshit. We can actually do that.
Can you show me one implementation of that?
Yeah.
Say that again?
Show me one implementation of this throughout history. How is this ever implemented?
Japan does it now. Everyone gets
Yeah,
the same
that's-
level of education no matter what their social. Hold on, Japan isn't communist. What the fuck? What I'm saying is that
their
there are countries. Be quiet for a second. There are countries that have equality of education no matter your socioeconomic status. Saying that America can't do it and we're the wealthiest country in the world is silly.
Yeah, I would very much disagree with that. But yeah, I mean,
Like no matter your socioeconomic
just so you know,
status, and hold on, no matter
so-
no matter your socioeconomic status in Korea, in Japan, and Australia, you're gonna get the same quality of education. It's just gonna happen, right? Unless the parents leave the country and go to Western Europe to a boarding school or something like that. But everyone's gonna get the same quality education. America's the place. America's one of the places where we fund education through property taxes, which is gonna cause inequality because like property taxes are not the same everywhere. But if we funded it all the same, and we make sure that the money actually goes into the classroom and not just to the administration, we would have a much better educational output, wouldn't we?
Yeah. So to address that, before we even get anywhere, the Japanese example is very vague, right? So you're not citing anything specifically. You're just saying, oh, well, the Japanese in general, they're able to implement this system of equality.
That's what you asked.
That's one of that assumption. Wait.
That's what you asked, bro.
Yeah, but
Nah,
there's a huge
I'm saying
difference
that's a very
between
big example, but
Japanese
even that-
culture and how they handle all their students and children and
All
their
right, I'm
entire
gonna start
school.
muting you because I kept telling you it's one at a time.
I apologize.
All
Okay.
one at a time then.
All right, I'm gonna keep telling you one at a time. If you get off mute again, I'm just gonna drop you. All right, go ahead, NGO.
Yeah. So to answer that, to say that they have equal opportunity in terms of when it comes to education, right? That wouldn't adequately explain like their job market, right? So as we clearly know, 40% of the workforce they work as non-regular workers. And what that means is they often work in farms. They have less job security. There's fewer benefits, and they also tend to have lower wages. And this idea that they have free education will not explain these disparities economically or disparities in the workforase.
Yeah, the disparities are because we have capitalism still.
Yeah.
Capitalism is always gonna do that. That's always gonna happen. You see what I'm saying? So it's what I'm saying is that they still. What I'm saying is that equal opportunity does not mean equal outcomes, right? There are always going to be people who are either lazier or just unfortunately not as smart as somebody else. I'm pretty sure there's a kid who's way better in math than I was. You feel what I'm saying? So that's always going to happen. The point is that everyone should have the equal chance to actually make something out of their lives. It shouldn't be, if you're poor, you're most likely going to be poor just because you're poor.
Yeah.
That's a terrible way for society to be run.
That's fine. I agree with that, but that's not the point, right? The point here is that the disparities is so evident to the point where, given the claim that you presented, that being the fact that they have equal education or equal opportunity, right? The outcome isn't expected. So the outcome here being the fact that over 40% of the workforce exhibit lower wages, exhibit fewer benefits, and exhibit less job security. This is not something that's expected given the claim that you posited.
It is expected because what we're expecting, what we expect is not the equal outcomes. We expect equal opportunity, not equal outcomes. Like I already said, people are talented different. People have different knowledge sets and skill sets. There are people who are smarter than others, braver than others, who are better than basketball. Like I have the opportunity to play basketball, right? But I'm never gonna make this to the NBA because I'm not 6'7". So that like equal opportunities does not mean equal outcomes. No one said have equal outcomes. Just because we have equal opportunity doesn't mean you have to expect equal outcomes. That's silly.
Yeah, that was never the claim, though. The claim wasn't that we're here to expect equal outcomes. However, the point here is we would expect, let's say, for example, like a job or like the economy in general, right? People who we would consider outliers, we would expect those people to be closer to the mean or the median than what is currently present in current day Japan, right? So in this case, to posit the claim that they do have equal opportunities, to presuppose the fact that outliers in this case, so people who are doing worse, are going to be doing much. They're going to be doing somewhat well to the point where their economic status is somewhat close to the mean. However, when we look at the economic inequality in Japan, right, we see that over 40% of the workforce are exhibiting lower wages and are exhibiting fewer benefits and are also exhibiting less job security. So the point here is
like what happens here.
Would expect. Wait, just give me a
go
second.
ahead.
So what we would expect is that people who are doing bad would be much closer to the mean. Or outliers would be closer to the mean than what we are currently seeing. So that's kind of the whole point I'm trying to present.
All right, but the thing is that's always going to happen under a capitalist system, number one. And number two, if we look at places like Japan, like China, like Canada, like the European, Scandinavian countries, like upward mobility not only happens more, but like what you're saying, like there will be more equal to the mean. That is what happens in those countries. Like they're actually we're out of time. Like what I'm saying is that when people in those countries, right, when they're in lower socioeconomic status, they number one, they don't always stay there, and not only that, their lower economic status is not like how ours are, not like how it's very concentrated poverty. You see what I'm saying? Like they have social safety nets that can help them up and help them get out of there, and they get more upward mobility. I get that there's still economic disparities. That's always going to happen under a capitalist system because of scarcity, right? But their type of like poverty is not the type of rough like concentrated poverty that we have. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So to address the initial point you made, right, in terms of capitalism. So just to the point that we brought up
very
earlier.
long one moment and one at a time, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I apologize, man. I'm sorry.
Nah, you're
But
good. It's host's
after
fault.
this
He's
point, I'm
not
probably
keeping
gonna
track,
leave.
and nobody
But
else
it
is
was
in here.
I already told everybody gets 15 minutes, and we're out of 15 minutes. So NGL gets to say the last thing, and then you can start, and then you can go and stop bitching. Go
Yeah,
ahead,
Shut
NGL.
your
Say
bitch
the
ass
last
so-
thing.
up. You're
but I
over
was
here
just-
whining about respirations. You don't deserve shit.
All right, fuck, boy, get out of here.
All right, listen. Yeah, sorry. To address the last point, right? So yeah, I would agree with the fact that much of these economic disparities and even social disparities can be tied to capitalism. However, the point here is that and the point here, and also the point that we addressed earlier, or we talked about, was that ultimately the economic disparities. So just so you know, capitalism can often dictate social and economic disparities, or they can influence economic and social disparities. So, which kind of supports the claim that I was making, that being the fact that to ever reach a great America, you have to present, or you would have to align under this idealistic criteria, a criteria that's impossible to reach. And
the thing is, you keep saying that it's impossible to reach, but equal opportunity is not impossible in this country. We can do it. Like I don't see any reason why we can't do it. You're just saying that we can't do it just because we can't. If we fund education more equitably, right? If we fix the issues with redlining, if we have workplace democracy, if we have these sort of things, like America will become a lot more equal, have more equal opportunity. That doesn't mean that everybody's gonna be in a Lamborghini tomorrow. It doesn't mean that, right? But it does mean that we have less people falling into poverty. We'll have less homelessness. We shouldn't even have homelessness at all. You see what I'm saying? We're the wealthiest country in the world. We can house our homeless population. We just don't do it. You see what I'm saying? So it's not about. I don't see how what I'm talking about is completely impossible. You're saying that like poor kids in Appalachia and a rich kid in Beverly Hills cannot have the same education standard. They can't have it. Like why?
Yeah,
That's silly.
unfortunately. Yeah. So just to let you know, so my justification for the claim here, that being the fact that's impossible, is going to be given the fact that all depictions or all every time we try to reach this goal ultimately failed. Given the fact that not only is this goal influenced by like the human condition, So obviously, like greed, etc., etc. But they're influenced by other things, such as, for example, social and economic status, right? And also, that's kind of why I asked for examples. And the example that you presented, that being like the Japanese, like the example in Japan, I've already explained to you how there are economic disparities, and to even add on to that point, right?
Right, there's
So-
always going to be economic disparities under capitalism. No one's denying that. The point that I'm trying to make is that we can have equal opportunity in this country. We can do it, and and you're just saying that we can't do it because people are greedy. That
yeah.
makes no sense.
Yeah. So just so you know, economic disparities do influence the options present to someone. So let's say, for example, let's look at Japan, right? So in terms of education, there's this thing called cram school, right? So JUCO, and this cram school advantage is only accessible to people who are willing to pay the money. So people who have the ability to pay for cram school will often do much better than other people in
Who
terms
can
of
pay for cram school?
in
Yeah,
education
exactly.
exams.
That's
that
how
would
it's
be an
gonna happen.
example. Yeah, that would be an example of like an economic disparity transitioning to like a social outcomes. Right, in that case, that would result in social disparities.
Right,
And
right.
to
But
add on
but
to that,
someone who is poor in Japan, will it be the case that they will always remain poor and never be able to lift themselves up and always have a bad education, like graduate high school not knowing how to read? Is that going to happen to a poor person in Japan?
well, obviously it's less likely. I would agree with that, but that supports my
Yeah,
point.
that's my point that I'm trying to make. We should not have high schoolers who cannot read.
Well, yeah.
That's what I'm trying to say. We can do that. There's always gonna be someone who delivers pizzas. There's always gonna be someone who has to be a janitor. That's always gonna happen, right? That's always gonna happen. There's always gonna be people who are rich and get tutors and get them into school and buy their way into it. That's what legacy admissions are, right? That's always going to be the case. We understand that. What we're saying is that I want to live in a society where homelessness is not a thing and we don't have 12th graders who cannot read. We can do that. And you're saying that we can't because greed or something. That
No.
doesn't make sense to me, bro.
Yeah, I apologize. Yeah, so my reasoning, my justification, just to get it across, was it simply going to be because of greed? But I addressed the fact that this isn't compatible with the human condition. But not only that, but all implementations of this within society in the past ultimately failed, and these can be explained by multiple things. These factors can be explained by other factors, such as, for example, social disparities. So people are obviously going to be brought up in different social outcomes. They're going to be explained by confounding variables that are not in their control. So that's number one. Number two, these things can always be explained through economic disparities. And again, to say that, oh, well, we have this capitalistic system that supports the point I'm trying to make here, given the fact that capitalism in general is always going to support this, it's always going to result in the fact that people are always going to exhibit some kind of social, economic, or social disparities. Let's say social and disparities in civil rights. So again, that supports the claim here, that being the fact that equality is going to be something that's impossible to reach, given the human condition, given societal expectations, and given societal and economic disparities. So ultimately, by addressing the fact that this isn't achievable with capitalism, will ultimately support my point. And to even add on to that, every implementation throughout history, as which we try to implement this kind of goal, ultimately failed. And this thing ultimately failed, given the examples I posited earlier.
Look, bro. Okay, you said a lot, but none of this explained why we can't do it. You just said that. Okay, so you're saying that it's impossible to do because of socioeconomic status. That doesn't answer the question.
Yeah. So I already addressed this, right? So I told you that every implementation within history, throughout history, to implement this goal, ultimately failed. And
It did not, though. That's what I'm saying. It did not. You're saying that every single time we tried to implement equal opportunities for the citizens, it failed. So why is Scandinavia a thing?
Sorry, what is Scandinavia? What is that?
The Nordic countries, Iceland, not Greenland, Iceland, Finland, Sweden. These countries have exactly what I'm talking about.
Norway.
Yeah.
Norway, they have exactly what I'm talking about. So if you're saying that the implementation always failed, why do those countries exist?
Yeah. So just to justice, even those countries, they do have social disparities and whatnot. However,
Yeah, they have social disparities. We know they have social disparities. This is what I'm trying to make. We know social disparities will always exist. But that's not what we're trying to. That's not what we're trying to.
That's fine.
That's not the ultimate thing that we're trying to say here.
Yeah.
But like equal, like I said before, equal opportunities does not mean equal outcomes. Just because two people have the same opportunity doesn't mean that they're both gonna be doctors and lawyers. We both have the opportunity to be lawyers, but that doesn't mean that we're both going to be lawyers. That's not gonna happen, right? Someone might fail. We understand that. What I'm saying is that that opportunity should still exist for everyone, and it shouldn't matter what your color or your socioeconomic status is.
Yeah. That begs the question.
But you're saying that's not possible to do. And whenever I ask you why, you said, "Oh, people are greedy in their socioeconomic status." That's not answering the question, bro. How can we not have? Because there was a time in this country where I was not allowed to go to Harvard, right? Like Harvard did not allow me to get in, right? There was some of that country. Now, if I have the grades and I have the essay and I have the et cetera that Harvard requires, I can get into Harvard. But if we were living in back then when we couldn't get into Harvard, you would say it's impossible to do.
No, I wouldn't say that. But yeah,
Right, exactly. But that's what I'm trying to say here. We can actually do this thing. We just have to implement the system to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jim, I ain't gonna lie, bro. We've been going for like
one thing, and then you kick me, whatever. Yeah. So just for my final point, right? So to say that equal opportunity does not equate to equal equal economic status. So that begs. So first of all, that begs the question as to whether people do have equal opportunity, right? And then given social disparities are obviously going to affect one's economic opportunity. So that's number one. Number two, the Norway example and all these other examples only highlight countries that have established a better system or a system that's more aligned with let's say America's principles and values. However, those systems still exhibit forms of economic, social disparity, civil rights disparities. Obviously, they could be less prevalent. However, the initial claim here was simply that to say that America isn't great or good presupposes this idealistic criteria, even though relative to history in general, we see that America fares way better than nearly all other countries throughout history. And my criteria to posit this is indexical on the following, right? So economic status, civil rights, and various other factors that make America the country that it is today. So
all right, America failed on civil rights, like even still to today. As a matter of fact, it's failing on civil rights. Like I'm not even sure what you mean by fare better. Like in what case? The only case we could say that we fare better is literally just economics. When it comes to civil rights, when it comes to opportunities, when it comes to discrimination and everything like that, we're far behind other countries.
Yeah, wait. So, okay. First of all, I'm gonna ask you to prove that claim. Number one, and number two, if you lift.
No.
Yeah, can somebody else go?
I apologize. Here, I'm gonna let everybody else talk. I'm gonna mute up. All right.
All right, not a problem. I appreciate you.
Good conversation, though. Good conversation, man.
Not a problem. Appreciate you being up.
All right.
All right, y'all. My bad. I know a few of y'all might agree with me. What's that? Any or Iani 92?
Sorry. It's Ian.
Ian, there we go. Ian, you over 18 and agree or disagree with something I have on the board?
I am unfortunately 30. I don't think reparations would help.
Okay, great. D, you over 18, disagree with something I have on the board?
I agree with everything, and I am over 18.
All right, great. Give me 1 second. Someone's mic is on. All right. Reality, are you over 18 and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
No, I pretty much agree with everything. I'm not entirely sure I agree.
But barely here.
Yeah, I can barely hear you, unfortunately, bro. Yeah. Go ahead and come on back. All right. Terrence, are you over 18 and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Hey, how y'all doing? Yeah, the reparation part, believe it or not, I don't think it'll help us, man.
All right, cool. And Dickwad, are you over 18 and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
I disagree with everything up there, especially with my name. Just call me Dick.
All right, cool. All right, so Ian, how's it going? Actually, give me a second, Ian. All right, y'all. For everybody who's watching me right now on YouTube, I appreciate y'all being there. Ding dong into here. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all being in the comments. Go ahead and share this out. Make sure you keep the likes up in the over on the YouTube and over on the Facebook. I appreciate y'all. All right, Ian, you said that you don't think reparations would actually help. What do you mean?
Yes, sir, and I'll try to keep it short. Gotta go, but I whenever I think of reparations, I originally think back to the 40 acres and a mule. I honestly think if everyone had gotten their 40 acres out of all the southern plantation land, that would have helped. But the time is gone. So what's another thing that you can give people? You can give them like city land. Back after World War II, the UK developed a lot of housing. It was a great social policy. After a while, they made it so that you could buy your own house. So the government basically gave a lot of UKers their own house, and as people got older, they couldn't take care of it, and they sold it. And the issue with a lot of land in the UK and parts of the U.S., suburbs where you have old homes that are getting gentrified is that they become part of the financial system. They become something that can be valued. I think anything, like if you gave people reparations, it would still be under a capitalist system. It would still be gaming each other. And if you wanted to do better, you would have to, give everyone a UBI, or else I think it would be hard to maintain politically. I think what would help is government mandated housing co-ops, and just raising the bar for everyone. I think
Okay.
would have been handy, but I'm not sure how that would be any different if it was a one-time shot from just people winning the lottery one time and blowing it.
Gotcha.
I'm not sure
Okay.
that helps.
Well, reparations can be done in several different ways. It doesn't necessarily have to be. Dick, can you go on mute for me, please, real quick, because your background is noisy. All right. So reparations doesn't only have to be like just giving them a big check and that's it. Sure, it can be that. Dick, please go on mute for me because your background is very loud. All right. So
There is no purpose.
all
I
right.
don't
So,
know. It's muted, but it keeps letting it sound, and it's muted.
all right. Mute. All right. So, when it comes to reparations, right, it doesn't necessarily have to be, a one big check to somebody, to everybody. When you talk to a reparationist, they always say that reparations should include what you just talked about, of course, land. It should include like repairing a lot of things, a lot of systemic issues such as environmental racism, such as our school system, grocery stores and food deserts, and the criminal justice system, because these things would not only positively affect the African American community mostly, it would also affect anyone who's poor, because like the criminal justice system doesn't only attack black people, it attacks poor people in general, right? So like fixing those things will also be part of the reparations deal. Now, there are there is things like giving out checks and money and things like that. I do believe that's something that should happen. How it should happen is something that you could talk to people like Sandy Darity. They know more about how those checks should come out. If it should be over a year phase or just a one-time $100,000 thing or generationally. There's ideas there, right? I don't know the exact entire idea, or there's an idea of just straight up investment into the communities, especially ones that will redline. You see what I mean? Like just straight up cash investment for jobs, for education, for infrastructure, et cetera, and to these homes as well. There's also the ideas of, just like how you said, rent to own type of programs. There's even ideas of African Americans not paying taxes at all. I don't think that's ever going to happen. A lot of people believe that's never going to happen, but that is an idea that's out there. My point is that there are multiple ideas on how to actually do reparations. It is complicated, which is why studies happen before it actually does happen, but it doesn't necessarily just have to be a check. What most people say is that if money goes out, it also has to be, these are the things that that I mentioned. You feel me? Also, there are people who think that if you give someone money, they're just gonna blow it. Two things. What's included in reparations, what a lot of people say is, of course, like courses in financial literacy, but also when you look at the spending habits of black people, the majority of the income of black people goes towards necessities, rent, groceries, health care, things like that. It goes towards things that are actually necessary. It's not necessarily, luxuries like watches and shoes. Those are usually one-time purchases. But the majority of black people are not buying watches and the new shoes. You see what I'm saying? So it's more complicated than what we're bringing out. All that makes sense to you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, I don't
I
make no
appreciate the
fucking sense.
nuance,
It's all
and
black
I
people
do
buy
think
watches
that
and shoes. You're a motherfucking liar. Tell me black people don't buy
All
them
right.
goddamn.
So when Dick Waters mature enough to actually wait his turn, then he can come on up. But go ahead. Say that again, Ian.
I doubt that. Yeah. Yeah. I appreciate the nuance. I did want to hear a lot of that, and I think you could look into a lot of what the Indian government does to try to elevate either females because they have like a lot of illiterate females, or like a culture of women not getting education, or like basically we have a caste system, and we've had it for since the 1600s. They've got that over 1,000 years, and I think it would be interesting both for myself and I guess everyone here, learn how another caste-based society deals with their inequality and ills. But yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I'm gonna go and let everyone have their turn. Have fun
Not a
with Dick
problem.
Ward.
I appreciate you, Ian, and I actually do agree with you with UBI as well. I agree with that. I think we also have UBI. Kay, I'm gonna bring you up in a second. All right. All right. D, how's it going? D,
It's going well.
All right. You said that you are over 18, and you disagree with something I had on the board. Which one
No,
was
I
it?
didn't disagree with anything, but I want to share something real quick. I don't think that we need to have, if we get any money, that it should be anybody's business how it's being spent because they didn't do it to the LGBTQ, they didn't do it to Gaza, they didn't do it to the JEU, I don't want the Israel, right? So they didn't do that to us, and I will wait and share that. I will hope they'll stop looking at us like we got to prove something to them, because that's the part that we need to be segregated from. We are all human beings. We don't need to be governed by anybody. That's why we're trying to get away from this right now and ask for reparations, because we are nobody's slave. We don't have to prove anything to them. So with that being said, with the government doing anything, I just don't believe America is great. I think they thrive off of theft, war, lies, whatever they could do, because they have nothing to trade in their country. They make the money, but they say they're in debt, but they're really not. They lie about that. They lie about a lot of stuff they have done, as far as our Black Wall Streets and our communities that we built by hand from the ground up, and they come in, dismantle, take, or whatever, and they feel like it was just years ago. No, the MOVE movement was BOOM in 1985. So they did not stop doing stupid shit that they do when we start building our own communities. And therefore, we deserve not only reparations, we deserve land, we deserve money, the source, the hospitals, the banks, everything that they took when they unalived our communities, because we didn't just have one, we had many. We've had many, and they dismantled it. So therefore, I feel like they should back the F off and allow us to be the human beings that we've always been, the creation that they search for every day, and give us that, run that money and that land, both.
Gotcha. Hey, I appreciate you so much, D. Like you said a word, and yeah, I don't think it should be anybody's business how African Americans spend their money and reparations do happen. I appreciate you, D. All right.
Yes, sir.
All righty, y'all. We're gonna go ahead and keep the train going, y'all. Kay, I'm gonna bring you up in a second. All right, y'all. Happy Juneteenth. Go ahead and keep tapping that live. We're at 8.5K likes. Let's go ahead and try to get to 10K, please. Let's go ahead and try to get to 10K. If you disagree with something I have on the board, I see all y'all in the comments chatting it up. Go ahead and hit that guest box and come on up, and let's go ahead and have the actual talk. Excuse me. Let's go ahead and have an actual talk. All right, y'all stop using black fatigue. Y'all have no idea what it means. Black fatigue was created by a black woman to talk about how black people get tired of dealing with racism. That's what black fatigue means. Y'all out here colonizing it just the way y'all colonize woke. All right, y'all have no idea what it means. Please shut the hell up. Terrence, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going, man?
I'm all right, man. Are you over 18 and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yeah, I'm over 18.
I'm getting an echo for you.
Oh, hold on. Hello?
All right, let me see if that's better. Yeah, that's way better.
Say that one
All
more
right.
time. I need to adjust my volume.
Yeah, that's way better. All right, Terrence, what
Let me
you
just Bluetooth.
you said you disagree with something?
All of us today.
Is that better?
That's way better.
All right. So yeah, the reparation issue. So a lot of the things that you spoke on earlier regarding what reparation, a lot of that is more social reform, which I 100% agree with. There's a lot of different things that we can do regarding the black community that's gonna, increase our opportunities in society. But the traditional sense of reparation, let's give us the money that's owed us, the land that's owed us, which I agree. In this particular country, specific country, it's owed us. However, the current state of the black mythos, it ain't gonna do us any good. I mean, the idea behind reparations in the first place is to increase not only our economic status, but our social long-term viability within this country. So if we're just doing it because it's owed us, but it's not gonna do us any good in the long run, it'd just be a waste of effort. There's some other things that have to happen first. Matter of fact, a lot of those things you listed, the social reforms that have to happen, the psychological, conditioning has to be reversed. We live in a current state of mind. Like you mentioned, black people, primarily their spending is on, necessities. Well, that's everybody. That's black, white, Hispanic. Everybody, most of their money is on necessities. It's what you do with the extra that makes the difference in your life and your children's lives. What are we doing with the extra money that's not going on necessities? That's the problem that we're having as as black people.
Yeah, I agree with that. Now, no, the reason why I brought up the fact that black people spend most of our money on necessities is because there's a narrative that black people don't know how to spend their money, essentially. That black people are just spending it on Jordans and jewelry and hair products. You see what I'm saying? Now, of course, a lot of black people do spend a lot on hair products because, like, the hair companies don't make products that go with black hair. I know I'm one to talk because, I know I'm one to talk, but, like, from what I've known about, how black hair works, the hair care product companies don't make products that work with our hair, so we have to spend extra, right? But that's besides the point. The point that I was trying to make was that black people actually do know how to spend their money, spend most of it on necessities. Now, when you bring up the disposable money, like what happens with our disposable income, that's where lies the rub, right? Because black people overall don't have a lot of disposable income. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to disposable income, what we do with that, I do agree with you. That should be made into investments, and I think for the most part, black people who do have disposable income, much of it does go into investments, but of course it goes into things like luxuries, right? Like I agree with you there. So there could be some more literacy there to do with, right? But the fact of the matter is that we don't have a lot of disposable income in the first place. Especially when it comes to the African American community specifically. There's not a lot of disposable income there. So we need to do things socially in order to because education also affects your income. So if we do things socially to better the educational outcomes or to better the educational sphere, then we'll have more disposable income. But I do think reparations, if it was like money given out to these families, a lot of people would be out of a hole. You know what I'm saying? Like the debt ratio of black families is huge, right? There's a lot of debt in like their health bills, a lot of debt in credit cards. Just digging out that hole would have a huge impact on not just disposable income, but the fact of their mental health and their financial health. You see what I'm saying? Just catching up on that. You feel me? Like if there was let's say tomorrow, reparations checks went out for every African American $25,000. There are African Americans out there whose debt is like $10,000. so they could pay that off and have 15,000 left over. Now we have to figure out what they're gonna do with it, right? Like just as an example of that I'm trying to give, right? There could be literacy classes on what can you do with this income? How can you invest it? What can you do better with it? What can you improve in your life? You feel what I'm saying? So that's why I think that even if money was given out, it would still help with the literacy courses because it'll just get people out of a lot of debt that they're in. Does all that make sense, Terrence?
Yeah, I agree with that. The idea of the money going towards debts, just wipe out the debts would be my, not response per se, but my alternate to just handing out the money. Wipe out the debts, and I think the thing that would help us dramatically is the land. You know, a lot of us don't, and I don't say us, you know, black folk don't own a lot of stuff, besides our cars and our clothes. You know, but giving something that can be passed down from generation to generation to the family would be at least a start, you know, in establishing some type of generational wealth. I'm going to say one more thing before I hop out. If anybody's familiar with Booker T. Washington and the Atlanta Compromise, which I don't agree with everything he said in that, but he did say one thing that was true back then that's still true today. We live in a country where the things that we want for black society we cannot fully attain on our own. We're still 6%. If we just talking about white and black, we're talking about like 60% white, like somewhere around 15% black still today in this whole country. There's no possible way we can affect change for the whole black society just with those numbers. It's something that has to be done as, people ain't gonna like it, but as a country. That's just the fact of the matter. We have to work together in the same way that you know, those same forces came together to oppress and, you know, bring down the black society. Those same forces are going to be needed to bring up black society in this country specifically.
I got you. No, I don't even disagree with that. There are something that, Booker T. Washington, was it Booker T. and I compromise? It was Booker T. Right? When he brought up the fact that black people being in trades, like or learning trades. That was on point. I mean, I didn't agree with the compromise of accepting white supremacy, but yeah, that was on point of learning the trades. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I think within reparations, that should be added. Like, all high schools, especially in red line areas, should have trades courses. So every single high schooler graduates with being an electrician or being a certified plumber or being certified in HVAC, something, or being a certified LPN. You feel what I'm saying? Like, those would help out a lot in these areas if they all graduate with some sort of trade. You feel me? Like our income will raise. That would be one of the things that I think should be included in reparations. You feel me? So yeah, I do agree with you. Like land has to be out there, and like how you said, at the end of the day, we all in this together. You see what I'm saying? So we're gonna have to, I mean, I don't believe that every white T person is just horrible. Like I don't believe that. You know what I'm saying? But like we gotta work together one day. It's just getting the together part
but that don't matter
is what's hard. You feel me?
From white supremacy.
Yeah, of course.
Whether they're enacting it or not is irrelevant. They're still benefiting from it.
Exactly. One last thing, Terrence, did you have anything else for me, bro?
That was pretty much it, man. Thanks for having me.
Not a problem. I appreciate y'all. All right, y'all. Let's keep liking it live and keep following and send this out to everyone. Keep sharing. I appreciate you all being up here. Y'all welcome Kay to the stage. She is my mod, and she does not play. She would drop you and mute you and block you.
As the Black American on the moderator crew, I want to say Happy Juneteenth to us.
Happy Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth, y'all. Happy Juneteenth. Send Kay all those gifts for Happy Juneteenth.
If one of your parents are descended from of slavery in America, Happy Juneteenth, y'all.
Happy Juneteenth, Happy Juneteenth. Remember to send all the Black Americans on here on my panel some gifts because it is Juneteenth and we can make a dent on the reparations.
Oh my God, I am screaming.
All right.
Could you imagine we made a dent in reparations?
Yeah, for real.
That would be crazy.
It would be crazy. All right, we got Justin up on the stage. Justin, how's it going?
How's it going? I don't know if you're talking about me. It's Richard.
Oh, yeah, we got Richard. I'm talking about the one on the bottom. Hey, Justin. Hey, Justin, you there?
Thank you for having me.
Not a problem, Adam. Give me a second. Hey, Justin, come back whenever you can. All right, Richard, are you over 18, and do you disagree with anything I have on the board?
Yeah, I'm 32, and I disagree with all the prompts to a degree.
Okay, pause real quick. Hold on, pause real quick. I'm sorry.
Okay, you're fine.
Adam, are you over 18, and do you disagree with anything I have on the board?
Quite a bit over 18. I'm 45. But I could debate you line by line if you like.
I don't like playing devil's advocate. If you agree, you agree, bro. But if you disagree, you disagree. Like, I just don't want you to play devil's advocate just for, content. You feel what I'm saying? Like, do you disagree, or are you kind of here and there with it?
Well, as far as like reparations goes, nobody alive today has been a slave. So
Okay. Pause me real quick, Adam.
Hello?
And Hilo, you there?
Yeah.
All right. Are you over 18, and do you disagree with anything I have on the board? All right, cool.
Yeah.
Pause for me. Let's go with Richard first. Matter of fact, hold on. Hey, Justin, are you there? Hey, Justin. All right. Richard, how's it going? So you said you're over 18, and you do disagree with something I have on the board, to a degree.
Yes.
To a degree, sure. Let's go ahead and start with the first one. Yeah, I believe America was never great. Why? What's your slight disagreement there?
Is great is perspective. So, are you saying great for the black community? Are you saying great for society? It's a blanket statement. So I could agree with several things, like America was never great for black Americans, but it was great for the world in general, because we've helped World War II, World War I, and whatnot. So the greater good, I believe, yes, America was great on that. But my biggest dispute was the reparations.
Of course. Here's why I say America was never great. Not only because it was never great to Black Americans, but I also believe that if it's not great to all groups in a society, then it cannot be, because that makes an unequal society, and inequality is not great, right? But you did bring up something interesting that has been great for the world. I actually disagree with that being great for the world, because, yeah, sure, while we invaded in World War II and was able to stop the Mustache Man got his idea to what to do with the Jews. He got that from America. You know what I'm saying? So
Jim Crow was the inspiration. What America was doing to my grandparents and my great-grandparents was the inspiration for the Holocaust. That's literally what the blueprint was. Not only for the Holocaust, but also apartheid in South Africa.
I was going to bring that up. You know what I'm saying? So, like, his inspiration was from America. So when we talk about good for the world, we also have to talk about, like, the Monroe Doctrine, America invading countries, regime changes. As a matter of fact, everything that's going on in Iran and Israel right now, we can blame on America, because the reason why the Ayatollahs rule Iran right now is because of the 1974 revolution. And the 1974 revolution happened because of the 1954 revolution. And the 1954 revolution was when they overthrew a democratically elected Shah, and who was behind that? The CIA. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of things that happen, and a lot of the shitty things that are happening on the world right now is because America got involved. You see what I'm saying? So if we take a look at all that, we can doubly say that it was never great.
Yes, and I'll grant everything you just said, because I'm not going to fact check or whatever. I'm just going to take it as is. I don't know enough to disprove it, so I'm just going to assume it's correct. But
I promise you, we're not
that's
making
fine.
anything.
And that's fine. But you're also not factoring the good things that came out of all of this. Mm-hmm. Out of all of the hardships, I mean, would you rather live like the Indians did before we got here? Or, I'm sorry, Native Americans, before we got here? The technological advances to all of it. Mm-hmm. All the hardship, all the bad, and the good that came out of it, I see that as, and it may seem cynical, but as worth it.
Okay, I mean, I have a few things to say.
You know that the natives were first, like the natives were doing quite well before European settlers came. So I don't know.
But they didn't have heart transplants. They didn't have hospitals.
Well, neither did Europeans
copy
at
and
that
paste.
time.
But that's what I'm saying, as in you can compare apples to oranges, but the Native Americans, we revolutionized this country, and it was through horrible acts, 100%. But the greater good of civilization actually ended up benefiting more people than it hurt.
Okay. I mean, here's what I would say. When we, all the advances that were made, right? Just like how you said, it was done through horrible means, and those horrible means were not necessary to do. That's the first thing that I would say. And secondly, I would say that those things would happen anyway because the mother of innovation is necessity, not necessarily colonialism. You see what I mean? But when it comes to your question of would I rather live how the natives were living before the settlers came over, well, yeah. I mean, I don't think it wasn't that different. Now, let's not. Give me a second, Maximus. Hold on. Everybody pause. Everybody pause.
Host and Mater talking.
Yeah, everybody pause. Okay, so when it comes to like for example how the natives were living, I'm not going to magicify them. They were not living all peacefully, kumbaya. Wars happen, of course, human nature. But please be quiet while I'm talking. But
if you do that again, I'm gonna kick you.
Yeah, please.
Okay, go ahead.
So,
you guys don't know how a discussion works. I'm allowed to rebuke. So
yeah, I know you're allowed to rebuke, but it's not your turn. So shut up when I'm talking because it's not your turn.
I'm like, he told you I don't play right. when one of us gives you a direction, you get right in line.
Yeah, exactly.
And especially on Juneteenth, I'm definitely not listening to you.
Yeah, we ain't playing around on Juneteenth, all right? So, all right, so when it comes to how the natives were living, yeah, it wasn't all kumbaya, but they weren't living, these horrific lives that is usually promoted in the media and in our textbooks. Even in Africa, they weren't living, horribly. A lot of them were living in unity. Like, as a matter of fact, it's been postulated by African philosophers that African societies pre-colonialism actually had a form of anarchism because these tribes can go wherever they want. There was no borders. You see what I'm saying? So it's like they weren't living these terrible drab lives, and those technological advances that could have happened without all the horrible things that came along with it. Does that make sense, Richard?
Not to mention,
okay.
here's my thing with that.
I'm okay to talk. Let me know.
Okay, I'm right after this, I promise. But what kills me the most about it is it's because of the Europeans that came over here, right? Over here, they literally survived the winter because of Native American interventions that those native tribes had created over that time. So but again, we're also talking about 16, 15, 1400s. So I'm not going to compare technological advancement in 2025 to pre-colonial United States. That don't make sense. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Richard. What you have to say?
So a perfect example is that how we learned a successful transplant of an organ for a human if it's failing. The reason that we got that technology was through horrible means. It was the mustache man. And he was the first one to actually successfully do that. We took that technology and we saved millions of lives. And that's just today. And if not more, we're going to sell based off of that knowledge alone. And without going through horrible means, I don't think that we would get that type of technology. That's what I mean by technological. I don't mean, well, you wouldn't have a flat screen if we didn't do this. No, I'm talking about,
so you're talking about
through
medicine.
human distress and through horrible means, we actually need to take the good from what was done and leave the bad and learn from the bad.
Okay.
But
Like,
here's the thing: it could have been done without the bad, is what Volsey is saying. It could have been done.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it could have been.
You're bringing up the heart. You're bringing up the. I'm like, even gynecology is has roots in racism because it was performed because of how gynecology came about. Literally, you can look this up. The father of gynecology, he was performing on enslaved black women without anesthesia, and that effect to this day is that black women have a less pain tolerance than black. Oh, Volsey, am I triggering you? I'm so sorry. I just realized.
No, it's all.
Triggering you?
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Do you see a gynecologist?
Yeah, we still see.
What I'm saying is, okay, let me retract that. Most women see gynecologists nowadays. So that's what I'm getting at, is through that horrible act, this practice started so we kept the good and shunned the bad. And
Right. We all
is bad.
Yeah. We all get that, Richard. We all get that, Richard. What I was trying to say was.
But the effects as a black woman, like I can tell you that those, like the effects of that are still impacting black women today. So even though good things did come out of it, black women's pain is not believed still.
Right, exactly. Like we get what you're saying, Richard. Right, there are things that happen horribly, but we got good things out of it. I think we all understand that, right? I think what me and Kay are trying to say is that we could have done those. No one could have done those things without those horrible things because, like for example, there were African tribes that had C-section before the Europeans, right? They were able to figure that out without experimenting on each other, right? So it's like we could do like advances without these horrible things. But I get it. Like that's history. History was only one way. We can't go back. Of course, that happened. But another thing that Kay is pointing out is that while good advances came out of it, one of the negative effects still lasts today. Yeah, you see what I mean? So, and one of those negative effects is that the father of gynecology, the one who experimented on enslaved women, he did that because he believed that black people had a higher pain tolerance, and even till today, I'm about
to hold on because I got to get this. User, nowhere did I say that black women experience more pain than other women. They're not believed compared to other women. But you think that black women are just more dramatic is literally the part of the problem I'm talking about.
That's the problem.
And I'm going to block you out of this fucking live because that is actually very racist and harmful.
Yeah, you can go ahead and get out of here. We're not doing that
so
tonight.
I'm blocking you. Don't play. I'm like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, we're not doing that tonight. All right. So Richard, you understand what we're trying to say, right? Like I completely get what you mean. Like for example, like out of NASA, right, came the whole internet, right? And without the internet, we wouldn't be even doing this right now. However, we also know what came out of the internet: all the scams, Facebook, Twitter. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
like we gotta take the good with the bad sometimes. Like that's just history. We just think that things could have been better. Go ahead, Richard. Go ahead.
At what point does the good outweigh the bad? And I understand that's a point of perspection, like it's perspective. That your moderator seems to be heavily on the aspect of the negative side of the gynecology example.
I'm not ignoring.
Can I finish, please?
I'm not saying that at all, but I'm not going to ignore.
Frankly, I think you should let him finish. Shut your damn mouth.
Yeah, Donald, bye-bye.
All right. Go ahead.
You for the rest of the live, honey, because I'm like, and you had the nerve to come up trolling like that.
I just have one question.
Yeah, give me 1 second, Justin. Richard, you said you want to finish your last sentence. Go ahead, finish your last sentence.
Yep. Just it seems like your moderator is heavily focused on the negative aspect of that gynecology example, and I see that as more women benefited versus did not. And I don't mean this specifically with that. Like I said, the mustache man, more people are living versus not compared to the technological advances. I'm not saying it was right. I'm saying that we should take all the bad, see it, identify it as bad, and remember it, teach it, and never do it again.
But
Gotcha.
And acknowledge
what I'm
the
telling
wrong.
you is the negative aspects are still there. Do you know that black women are more likely to die in childbirth based off those things?
I'm not refuting that. I'm saying the negative aspects of the mustache man are still here as well. But the good aspect outweighs that societally.
I think that's a large matter of perspective. You see what I'm saying? Because
This is 100% my perspective. I'm not saying fact. I don't speak for anybody else other than me. I'm speaking for me.
I got you. I would say like I understand what you mean, but if we take if we look at the negative effects that still last and what they do to us, even though you say that a lot of people were saved, the fact that a lot of communities are still harmed, I don't see the balancing act there. You know what I'm saying? I think harm is more. How can I say this? It's more prevalent in my mind than anything good that it does. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and with your first statement, I kind of gathered that when you said that America being great, if one minority or demographic is not doing great, then the whole country is not doing great. So I understand that line of thought.
I got you. All right, we got about 20 seconds, and I gotta go ahead and drop you, Richard. But I do appreciate you being up, and I appreciate the conversation.
Good, I just have one question.
Thanks for coming, Richard. All right, Justin.
I just have a question. How do you calculate the percentage? So if somebody's half black and half white, do they get half the reparations?
All right, first, Justin, let's do this. Are you over 18, and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
I'm over 18, and no, I don't disagree or agree. I'm just listening to learn.
Gotcha. Okay.
I want to hear like.
Well, to your question, if the black parent is black American, they would be entitled to it. Just like, for example, Volsi, is a Haitian, but if he were to have a child with a black American woman, let's say hypothetically, that child would also be qualified for it because they have black American lineage.
I understand that, but I'm saying, do they get half the reparations of somebody who's 100% black?
Oh, like the numbers? No, I don't think so. What do you say, Kate?
So what's the percentage of black ethnicity that you need to get the reparations?
I would think 50% or more.
So it's got to. So if somebody's only 25%, they're not going to get anything.
Probably. Here's how I would say it. Right? Do you know who J. Cole is?
Yeah.
Yeah, J. Cole the rapper. Yeah. So J. Cole the rapper will get it because his father was black American. You know who Drake is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Drake the rapper will get it because his father was black American. But you know who Drake's now his son Adonis is not going to qualify.
No, I understand that logic. I'm just saying, like, if somebody's legitimately 25% black of descendant of slaves, like, don't they get 25% reparations?
I'm like because
that's actually a good question.
Because here's the thing. Because let's say in the case of Drake's son is 75% European and 25% European. Meghan Markle's kids also, right? Meghan Markle has a black American mother. The difference here is that the difference between them and their parent is that they get to because they inherit white privilege based on their phenotype. I think that is a very different conversation than we're talking about someone who has 50% African ancestry, grew up with a predominantly black American parent and was raised in the culture, and it has that lineage, but also would have that lived experience based off depending on how they phenotypically present. That is a very different situation.
I just feel like somebody who is 25% black, that's a descendant of slavery, that's not going to get anything. They would probably sue. You know, they would be caught up.
There's a conversation to happen. Yeah, it's a good question, bro. I'm not gonna lie. You're bringing up a good question. It's a conversation to
have you folks ever heard of blood quantum?
But I don't think they should get it.
Yeah, but that you're saying they don't get it, but that person's going to say they deserve it. So then, how?
What happens then?
Because they're walking around with white privilege. They don't.
But then you're marginalizing their descendants.
No, we're creating boundaries.
That's
Does colorism play a role in reparations?
They're not entitled to it.
I don't know. I just wanted to ask
see if we were to learn one thing from the Native American experience.
Now one at a time, people. One at a time.
That's all. I
Justin,
just
say what you said.
wanted to see if you guys had thought about it and thought, I just wanted to see where you were coming from.
Gotcha. All right, I appreciate you being here, Justin. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Not a problem, bro. All right. Those are good questions. Don't think those are not good questions, y'all. Those are good questions. Like Kay said, she doesn't believe that people would deserve it. I have heard people say that those people probably would. That's a conversation between Black Americans, and I think when they finally, like, not finally, but there's organizations that do it.
That's a conversation that can happen. But
exactly.
For me, when it's on the table, I think that's a conversation that can be had. But for me, I find, like, for example, if that were the logic, then what's to say that someone like Haley Steinfeld would not also. I feel like I hate, because of the system we live in, the reparations is their phenotype.
Yeah, exactly. All right, Jack, how's it going? Jack, are you over 18, and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Technically, yes, I am. I'm 55, and I don't disagree. I just don't think Black Americans specifically should get reparations. I think it should be racial supremacist reparations, where everyone they've injured we'll never get equality from these fuckers. We'll never be good enough. You know what I mean?
Okay, pause me real quick. DJ, are you over 18, and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yes, I'm 25, and no, I just had some questions.
Gotcha. All right, pause me real quick. And Newport, are you over 18, and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yes and yes.
Gotcha. All right. I'm gonna start with Jack first, and then we'll go to DJ. I'll get your question. Then we'll go to Newport. Newport, you'll close out the night for me, okay? Because I gotta go ahead and get to sleep. All right, Jack. You said it shouldn't be specifically towards African Americans. It should be more racial. I get the sentiment. However, my ancestors weren't necessarily harmed in America. They were harmed over in Haiti. So I think France is the one that owns reparations, especially for the debt trap that they put us in. Now, the United States also owes Haiti because of the invasion that happened back in the 1920s that ruined Haiti's economy, right? So that is a conversation that should happen, right? But all that should happen after African Americans get their reparations, if that makes sense to me.
No, I agree. My argument is just that, picking out races, us all identifying ourselves as African American and Mexican American, Indigenous American, we're just playing into the racial supremacist game. Just the fact that we choose to select people based on their phenotype, I mean, that's their game. You know what I mean? For me, it seems to make the most sense to uninstall these motherfuckers from power. And that will be the reparations, is being able to get a good night's rest without their secret police or their incredible wealth that was stolen on the backs of not just African American, all people, even white people. What they call white people are victimized by this.
I'm talking about like class warfare. I get what you're saying about with class warfare, but like this specifically for actually my bad, Kay. Kay, go ahead. What you have to say?
No, I was just saying that, like, the concept of digging into this to see what's fair, like, why won't the white man pay? My argument is that the entire system is a scam. And
no. I get what you're saying.
There is no money to be paid,
No, I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from with class warfare, right? I get the sentiment that you're trying to get at. Yeah. I think there should be, class analysis and class warfare. Yeah, the billionaires are against all of us, right? I do get where you're coming from. But what we're talking about, when we talk about class when we look into class analysis, we have to recognize that race is also a class, and in our classes society. The race that we were put into because of our phenotypical expression, we're put in a lower class. You see what I'm saying? So, like, there's a lot of poor whites who have not done like racial or class analysis before. You feel what I'm saying? Which is why how the Irish became white. You see what I'm saying? Because their race overruled their class. You see what I'm saying?
What I'm saying is you can't have white people without us.
Mm-hmm.
Like they couldn't have power, they couldn't have wealth unless we shaved their faces.
Yeah, we should take away the entire
take
away the entire concept of race in the first place.
Yeah, it's dumb. The only reason they made it up was so that these monarchs could rape the world.
No, I understand. I get that. That's absolutely true. The concept of race is completely BS. I think the reason why I support reparations is because like when that happens, we can actually work to get rid of the concept of race in the first place. Do you think it's going to cause more harm to getting rid of the concept of race?
I don't think there's getting rid of the concept of race. I think if you got rid of the racial supremacy, if you put a tax on these motherfuckers for redlining, for anything that supports a racial supremacy, I think that's the problem. Is these guys have gotten fat and they control everything, and they just undermine anything that challenges them, including Native American people who don't want to be treated as second-class citizens have to beg for their autonomy separately from the Asians. The NAACP fights with all other organizations. Do you get what I'm saying? Like everyone's siloed.
Mm-hmm. No, I get you. Like we're all being oppressed by the bourgeoisie. Yeah. I do get that, right? It's a shakedown. Yeah,
epic proportions, dude.
Yeah, I get that.
Thanks for hearing me. I really had to get that off my chest.
But we're all not being affected the same, and I feel like that is the part that's being missed.
No, I totally agree. I think the challenge is that we are trying to put into the, God, I sound like Malcolm X. We're trying to put ourselves into the white man's world, expecting he's going to pay us back like he would pay back a friend, or that we would have a legal repercussion within his, and I don't mean white man, I mean the supremacists, within their framework. We're expecting to get compensated somehow.
Yeah, we understand. It's like we're talking about, like take down the system. Now I'm there with you. Like we got to take down the entire system that they propose. But part of doing that is reparations, in my opinion. What do you say?
No, I agree. I'm just saying that it's not a good faith argument for reparations because they're never going to let it happen. They'd rather kill everyone who has any phenotype of non-white than give $1 to a black man.
So we got to take down the whole system.
Yeah. I think it would be easier, rather than take down the whole system, just to create a racial supremacist registry like we do pedophiles. And then we just won't fucking deal with them, you know?
Yo, put me on that list, bro. I want to be on that list.
All right, Jack. Please do F1, Jack. I gotta have you take a lap because there are words that can't be used. And,
you got it. Sorry, man. Sorry.
Not a problem. I appreciate you, Joe Jack. Okay, I'm gonna let you get the next one. Oh, DJ, you said that you actually didn't disagree. You just had a question, correct?
Yeah. Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
You can hear me. Okay, it's not showing up on my screen, but yeah, I think being woke is good, and definitely Black Americans deserve their claim to reparations. I feel like we haven't really made it to the end of the Underground Railroad per se, but the one thing I would challenge is that America has won its fights for a good cause or a few, as well as some important protests in history that are still commended today. So I think America has its great people like you and me, but we definitely have our struggles as well, and we just have to take the good with the bad and try to aim for change.
Gotcha. Give me 1 second. Hey, Cleric, go ahead and request to come up because I can't invite you and you got a lot to say. All right, so yeah, DJ, we understand that completely. Appreciate you.
Hold on, just me say, user, not on Juneteenth. Like, I'm so tired of y'all bringing up Dr. King to back up y'all racism. He literally said that he brought Black Americans into a burning house, referring to y'all. So I'm gonna need you to stop referring to the works of Dr. Martin Luther King to back your bullshit. He would not be. He would not be okay with that, and neither is his family. They've spoken out plenty of times against that shit.
Yeah, and Cleric, Malcolm X would definitely appreciate my words. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You know nothing about Malcolm X. All right.
Malcolm X would
He and
appreciate
Malcolm
what
used
you're
to
saying
beef over their
because
strategies.
no.
So I don't know what they talking about.
I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Hey, Clara, come on up, bro. Like, cause you, I don't talk to the comments. All right, Newport, you said that you do disagree with something I have on the board, and what was that?
I'm just.
Black Americans should not get reparations.
All right, you said Black Americans should not get reparations. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go up to the top first. Latanya, you over 18 and you agree or disagree with something I have on the board?
Not necessarily about the being woke is good and all that. Like some people that are woke are just woke for no reason.
Okay,
like
gotcha.
Woke they're not woke to do anything. Like they're just woke to be woke and talk shit. They're
Gotcha.
not
All
gonna
right,
do anything.
pause me real quick. Pause me real quick. Pause me real quick.
So
All right.
that's what I was saying.
Gotcha. Pause me real quick. All right, and director, are you over 18 and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
I do. So the first, so it goes based off of all three, but they're variables. So you just have to ask
gotcha.
So,
all right, gotcha. I got it. Hold on. I got you.
Okay.
I got you. Pause me real quick. All right, because Newport is first. All right, Newport. Kay and I'm guessing Latanya are going to talk to you for the next 15 minutes. You said that Black Americans should not get reparations. Why do you believe so? And then Kay is going to go ahead and give you her argument. Go ahead.
All right, Black Americans shouldn't get reparations because they're actually more dangerous to live around than any other race in America. So if you run the stats, me living next to a Black American, as a white man, I should be getting paid to live next to you by the government for putting myself in voluntary days.
Like a motherfucker. Where he live at? So I can move next to him.
Yeah, get out of here, bro. Get out of here. We got time for that. Yeah, I got time for that. All right, y'all. Happy Juneteenth. Welcome to my stream. We're going to go ahead and keep it moving. George, I'm going to bring you up next, and you're probably going to close out my night. I said that last time, but you're probably going to close out my night, George.
I'm like Akira, exactly. Like, what are you talking about?
I ain't got time for that. We ain't got no time for that, bro.
We do not have time for that foolishness, and I will not.
We probably live in a trailer park anyway. Talk about living next to him. Nobody don't live next to him, but his auntie. Y'all bye.
Boy, bye.
Mama basement. Talk about living next to that. Girl, bye.
Oh, boy, bye. All right, y'all. We're going to go ahead and keep it rolling. Happy Juneteenth.
His face, tell him boy bye. Beyonce, all Juneteenth. Boy bye.
Oh, my goodness. That is so hilarious. All right, director, you said that you disagree with something I had on the board. Let's go ahead and go one by one. What did you disagree with and why?
Well, let's just start with the statement of America was never great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. My curiosity is, why do you state that America was never great? And I mean from the beginning, the very beginning of America coming up into fold.
The very beginning of America coming into fold was slavery, so that can't be great.
No, it wasn't.
But yes, it was. But yes, it was.
What?
But hold on. So you're saying that America did not have slavery in the beginning?
I didn't say that. I'm asking you from the very beginning. I'm not talking about slavery. What started the very beginning of?
He said he liked slavery.
When the very beginning of America, what happened during the actual evolution or the revelation of America? That specific thing.
You're talking about like the Revolutionary War when that started?
Yeah. What was the purpose of America to come into fold?
Oh, for rich white guys to run their own show.
Why do you see it that way?
Because rich white guys started the revolution to run the show.
So let me ask you a question. If in that same case, right? Let's say
I'm gonna have to agree with him. White people did found the country.
Let's say Great Britain took over. I don't know. We'll say a random island, right? Puerto Rico.
All right, hold on. Director, hold on. Give me a second. Director, hold on. Give me a second.
I'll listen.
All right. So we started off with why do I believe America was never great? I'm just gonna tell you why. America was never great.
Off with slavery.
America was never great. America was never great. America was never great.
Never.
Because it never lived up to its principles, and it never lived up to equality, and it always treated a majority, not even just a majority, but a minority of its citizens in an oppressive way. You cannot be great as a country if you do that.
Also,
okay. I mean, if you're gonna state that, well, like if you're gonna start based off of that, you're already just throwing everything out. which doesn't make any logical sense.
What do you mean? I'm just throwing
What
everything
you
out.
saying don't
You
make
are.
sense.
All right, hold on. Everybody pause. All right, director, if we're gonna have a conversation, we need to have this organized. All right. So I said clearly that America has never lived up to its principles of liberty and justice and equality for all. It's never lived up to that principle, right? That doesn't mean that it can't do it. That means it just never has, and therefore it can't be great. It also has treated like a certain section of its citizens in the society in an unequal and an oppressive fashion. Once a society does that, those two things, in my opinion, from my perspective, it cannot be great. Now can you tell me how was that illogical?
It's not that it's illogical. The problem is the question. The question is America was never great. The problem with you saying that is that America became great when it defeated Great Britain.
No, it still did.
Hold up.
Go ahead.
Based off his name alone, Great Britain is a large faction. And yes, there were Africans that were part of that fight to sit there and defeat Great Britain. Was there still also a problem when it came to the slavery situation? Yes, but that's not part of the conversation. The issue, what I'm getting at, is that when you're saying America was never great, America would never have started if we not had created a revolution against Great Britain. That's the baseline.
I understand. Hold on.
Now,
Right. I understand, director. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I understand. Pause. Everybody pause. Okay, so director, I understand that we started a war against Great Britain in order to become free of Great Britain, correct? Mm-hmm. However, during that time, there was still slavery, and then after that revolution, the enslaved people who actually fought for America went back into slavery. That is not greatness. That's what I'm talking about, bro.
Promised freedom, by the way.
You know what's crazy?
I'm not even into what she's talking about, but I'm gonna jump into. Exactly. So, but on top of that too, we're not even gonna act like this is brand new. By the way, first of all, slavery existed all around the world. This is not a brand new phase.
We're talking about America, bro.
Okay, I know you're talking about America. But don't. First of all, don't disrespect America. Hold on. Hey, am I talking or are you talking? Which one is it?
No, we're talking because you sound like the person
It ain't
right
we
now.
talking. I'm talking to the host because the host has a question and I'm answering his question.
You need to talk to the host with some respect because he's black.
I am talking to the host with respect, and I'm listening to all of you trying to interrupt me, and I'm responding to you guys.
But I can't interrupt you because
I mean, you can if you want to, but what I'm saying is that you sound ridiculous. So. What the point of what I was saying was is that slavery existed all around. In comparison to America, in comparison to everybody else in the world, America is realistically the first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Is supposed to be an actual civil conversation, or is this just going to be interesting?
All right. Let's.
Let me talk to the host.
Because you saying some dumb ass shit and you don't, and everybody's not agreeing with you, and then now you want to get mad and try to insult people and say in a civil conversation. You can't have a civil conversation when you're talking about something that was not civil. The way they killed them Indians, the way they killed the black people when they came over here, that's not civil. You can't talk about that and try to blow it off and say, "Oh, we're having a civil conversation." Nothing about it was civil from the beginning. So that's what he's trying to tell you. Go ahead.
Exactly. All right. So, George, are you over 18 and do you disagree with something?
Yes, I am. I do. You mind if I chip in a little bit on the previous guy was talking about?
All right, sure. Because I wasn't sure where he was going with it because he wasn't really addressing what I said.
I would agree that America was never great, but I would say that America is still a better country to live in today over any other country in the world due to the amount of freedom you have in America than any other country.
Absolutely not. What freedoms do we have in America that don't exist in other countries?
All right, let's start off. So, you know, that guy was talking about the UK. You know, they arrest people for making Facebook posts. Anything about criticizing their government, being one political party. You can be a communist here. You can be whatever you want.
They do not. That doesn't happen in the UK. You don't get arrested just for posting a Facebook post. You get arrested for harassment and threatening the government.
You can get arrested in the UK for praying at an abortion clinic.
You can get arrested in the UK for praying at an abortion clinic.
Yep, you can search that up. It's a law. I can give you a source for that.
Okay. How much you want to bet it's about harassment and not about just praying?
I would bet that, but I'm like, George, can you give the source so we can look that up real quick? And could you put it on the background, Volsi, when you find it?
Well, I'm on my phone, but I can probably try.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because
I'm like, I would, but like I would bring it up on my tablet, but I'm using it because my phone is broken, literally for the moment, until at least a couple weeks from now when I get paid.
Okay, so whether or not you could be arrested in the UK for praying in front of an abortion clinic depends on specific circumstances, particularly regarding the safe access zones or buffer zones now in place around these facilities in England and Wales. So yeah, it's not about praying; it's about trespassing and harassing people. It's not about praying.
So again, same freedoms.
You're not gonna get arrested for praying in the UK for praying in your own home. Hold on, are you really saying that in the UK, which is technically a theocracy,
the vice president,
you're gonna get arrested?
Mr. J.D. Vance.
You're gonna get arrested for praying in your own home? All right, take a lap and come back when your internet is better. Please pray for his Wi-Fi, y'all. All right, Blurk, are you there?
Hello, how are y'all doing?
I'm all right. I gotta get out of here, y'all. I'm gonna get like 15 more minutes or so before I get out of here. All right, Blurk, are you over 18?
I am over 18. I am 32.
And you disagree with something I have on the board?
I only really disagree with America was never great. I would say I would say the 2010s. I call that the progress area for myself because that's when legalization of same-sex marriage came, and when we had a black president. Obama was like the greatest president we've ever had.
Well, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. All right, Simiris Communos. I don't know how to say your name. The one with the green one with the deer. All right, are you over? Huh?
Yeah, I'm over 18.
You said Siminos?
Cernunos, yeah.
Okay. Are you over 18, and do you disagree with something I have on the board? By the way, for the person to tell me to get a job, I already have a job and I make 6 figures.
I'm like, also, why are you worried about? Are you gonna pay him?
Yeah,
you wanna
exactly.
hire him?
Yeah, are you gonna hire me? Because
I didn't know you submitted a job application.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so Sermonos, what do you disagree with what I have on the board?
I agree with the prom.
Okay, cool.
I'm a little background. I have ancestors on both sides of my parents who came in the 17th century, so I'm what the conservatives call legacy American, which I think is just silly because he still came after 1619. So that's nonsense. And I studied U.S. history in college, and I agree, America's never great.
All right.
So we have a U.S. history major.
I mean, I heard when you first come in, you were talking about the potential and how we've never lived up to the potential, and I've always thought that because the potential is there. But
I think we both agree that the potential is there. I think America could be great. Don't get it twisted. I think
Yeah, we could, like everyone, like every demographic in this country has shown the potential to do great things. We just haven't done it yet. Give me 1 second. Sean from Queens, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, man.
All right, Sean, are you over 18, and do you disagree with anything I have on the board?
I'm definitely over 18. I disagree with America never being great. It's the greatest country in the world right now. And it's the greatest country in the world right now for everybody. Yes, it is. And I'm a black man saying this to all of you. I'm a black man saying this to all of you, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous to hear a black man who makes 6 figures talking about this country not being great for him. You have to understand how crazy that sounds. That's just like Whoopi Goldberg saying Iran is better than America for black people. The woman makes millions of dollars a year. She's wealthy. She's famous. She has anything she wants in life. But she can fix her lips to try to compare the country that gave her everything she could ever want in life and dismiss it. And as a black man, it bothers me, especially when black rich people tell black people this country is oppressive. So how the heck did you become who the heck you are? How did you become a millionaire? How did you become a billionaire? How did you become the star you are if you've been so oppressed in your damn life in America as a black person?
Okay, let me ask you a question, Sean. Sean, yeah, you mind if I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Okay. Ray Charles was rich, correct?
He was famous, I guess. I don't know his finances.
Hold on. Okay, yeah. So Ray Charles was rich. What about Nat Turner? Was Nat Turner rich?
Nat Turner was very wealthy, I think.
What about James Brown? James Brown. Hold on. James Brown was rich as well, correct?
Died as a wealthy man too.
Mm-hmm. Did they all grow up through Jim Crow?
Bro, we're not in Jim Crow's 2025.
It's just a yes or no. Did they grow up through Jim Crow?
Bro, no. We're not going back.
Hold on, wait, hold on. Listen. Hold on, Sean. Slow down. I promise I'm getting somewhere with you. Were James Brown and Ray Charles and Nat Turner, did they go through Jim Crow?
Yes, and they still made it.
Right. They went through Jim Crow. So making money doesn't stop you from experiencing racism, does it?
Bro, you can experience racism in Africa. I've been to Africa. You know how racist countries in Africa are towards other
I know how
black
racist
people
countries are, but we're not talking about Africa. We're talking about America. When it comes to the United States, the reason why we can say that is great is because even though I'm doing fine and I'm doing well, that doesn't mean that my demographic, the demographic that we belong to, do not still face discrimination, because we still face discrimination.
Face more racism from your own people than white people.
That doesn't address my question. That doesn't address my question, Sean. That doesn't address my point, Sean. My point that I said is that for black people in America, we still face some of the majority amount of discrimination. Did you know that there are? Do you think that there's discrimination in the healthcare field, Sean?
I've never experienced it, so I can't say it.
Okay. So this brings me up another issue. Just because you never experienced something doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, does it?
I can't speak on something I've never experienced.
That's fine. I know.
We can with data and stuff. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. If you did, have you ever read the data on it?
Everything I read, man. I was just told COVID was the most deadliest virus in the world, and it's the flu.
Sean, what does that have to do with what we're talking about, bro?
Because you want me to believe data, and I can't believe everything the government tells me these days.
This is not coming from the government.
This is not coming from the government.
The data actually comes from universities and organizations who make this research, bro.
The universities. Oh, okay. Okay, universities.
Sean, stop, Sean. You're using a device created by universities. Come on now.
So you want me to believe the universe?
Hold on, Sean. You're using a device that came from universities.
This device, my Apple iPhone 15 came from what university?
Yeah, it came from universities. Because where did iOS come from? Who created iOS?
That is a security software.
iOS is not a security software. iOS is not a security software.
Like it's not the phone. The phone wasn't created.
Who created software? Who created software?
Who created software?
Software engineers. Software engineers. Sean, be quiet. Sean, I'm gonna mute you real quick. Because you're doing thought stop. You're not actually thinking about what I'm actually asking you. Software was created by software engineers. Software was.
He's one of them black conservatives. That's why he ain't listening.
Yeah, software, Sean, was created by software engineers, and software engineers largely went to college and universities. That's how they were able to figure this stuff out. So demeaning universities while using something that came from universities is stupid. That's number one. Number two, I understand the sentiment of not being able to speak on something that you never experienced. That's all good and well. But I can speak on something that I experienced, right? And if I experience racism from police and racism from the medical industry, are you going to say that it just doesn't exist anymore because you never experienced it?
I've experienced it at the bank I've experienced it. I'm like trying to get my credit better. I've experienced it in the.
You can go ahead and come off mute now, Sean.
So
look,
okay, just answer that question for me, please. I've experienced racism from police. Are you gonna say that just because you've never experienced it, it doesn't exist? Are you gonna say that?
But I have experienced racism from police.
Great.
From
So
New York.
racism. All right. So great. So racism amongst
And they
police
were black- and
exists.
they were black
So
and
racism amongst police exists. I've also experienced racism in the medical field. You said you haven't? Does that mean it doesn't exist because you haven't experienced it?
I can't dismiss your claims of racism, bro. You're asking me to dismiss what you've gone through.
I got you, Sean. Sean, I got you, Sean. The problem, hold on, Sean. The problem with saying that I've never experienced it, therefore I can't speak on it, is that it doesn't actually speak to what the information that we have. Is there racism in the medical field? How do we actually find that out?
You told me you've experienced racism. I have to believe you. I have never experienced it, so I can't say.
Okay, exactly. But the thing is that
we just don't base that based off of individual experiences. We get data, we do studies, and then based off those studies, we determine if there's an issue there. That's
exactly.
how we really determine those things.
Exactly, because for all you know, because Sean, for all you know, Sean,
exists in the medical field.
Exactly. So Sean, for all you know, I could have just lied to you right now, right? So you just can't say that. Oh, since you said, I'm just gonna believe you. We have to go off something else.
Who am I to dismiss your claim of racism? Who am I to say that you're lying?
Sean.
It's not about disclaiming it or not. It's about, can we verify through studies and through research and to get an overall picture? Because me and Avosi are two individuals. Right, so I may have experienced it, but that doesn't necessarily make it a systemic issue. What makes it systemic is if it's an overarching issue, and if it's backed by systems, right, which would be the healthcare system, the system of healthcare, right? So we do research to determine that.
Right, exactly.
I get what you're saying.
It's not just someone claiming.
I get what you're saying.
We have to do research. We have to do studies.
I get what you're saying, but I think we also have to recognize that a lot of data is put out to cause racial divide. My mother had cancer 4 times. God bless her soul. She's still alive. She was a nurse. My mother never mistreated anybody of any pigment color.
That's all good and well, Sean. No one is saying that every single healthcare worker. Hold on, Sean. No one is saying that every single healthcare worker out there is horrible and racist. No one's saying that. We're saying that there's a systemic issue within the healthcare field that treats people who look like us as less than. And this has been shown by multiple studies. If you're saying that I'm just not going to believe the data, how do we actually solve the issue then?
By saying that people are putting that. No, we're putting data is put out to after we can verify an issue. That's not. The data is not what's creating racial divides. The tension, racial tension, the actual things that are happening are causing the racial tension. So we fix the issue. We don't just dismiss it by.
You're asking me
the issue
to believe an entity that literally lied to us for the past couple years about the flu.
I'm not asking you to believe the CDC, bro. That's not what I'm asking you. No one is saying that. What we're saying. Hold on, stop. Sean, stop. No one is saying just believe whatever the government says. No one is saying just believe the CDC. No one is saying that, bro. Well, what we're saying is that if we go out there and we do research, and we see that multiple times and multiple points of research shows that there is a systemic problem, and that problem that systemically is racial in nature. How can you then just say I'm just gonna dismiss it because COVID wasn't as bad as I thought it would be? That's silly, bro.
It's not just COVID. It's everything.
Like what?
Everything.
Like what?
This whole.
Like what? No, Sean, stop. Like Sean, stop. Like what? Sean. Sean, answer my question. Answer my actual question. Don't say because of the thing. I asked you a very specific question. You said they lie about everything. What do they lie about, and who is they?
the powers that be are. You haven't paid attention to the last couple
That doesn't make any sense. Who was they, bro? Who's the power that be? Who is that?
There
Who is it?
are people that control every entity you're talking
Who
about.
is that? Who?
The same people that lied to you and told you we had a secure border for 4 years. The same
Bro,
people that
who
told
are
you,
those people? Who are those people? Tell me who the people are, bro.
You can say the 7 families. You can go down all kind of rabbit hole conspiracy theories of who controls this world and the information you digest.
All right, that's silly. That's silly. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. I don't believe in the. I don't believe that the Rothschilds. I don't believe that the Rothschilds are running the world. Give me actual evidence. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here.
I'm like, I dropped him because he was going. And I'm like, and before y'all even start in the comments, I did not drop him because he disagreed. I dropped him because he wouldn't answer the question.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here, y'all.
I know how y'all like to do, honey. Like, oh, you dropped him because no, I didn't drop him because he just. I want to make that clear before. Clearly, if we're having a debate, we welcome disagreement.
Yeah, exactly. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, man. But I'm gonna go ahead and be my wife tonight. I love you all and I appreciate you all being here. Hey, Kay, I appreciate you being here. Happy Juneteenth. What you gonna do this weekend?
I'm actually going to going to a cookout with a couple friends tomorrow. We're doing like a late Juneteenth celebration.
Late Juneteenth, yeah. I'm gonna try to do that this weekend. There was actually a Juneteenth thing out in the park today, but you know, I was at work and my job doesn't give me Juneteenth off. Unfortunately,
someone in the comments said I was girl. Black people can't be racist. Sonny, that's not how the racism works.
Yeah, exactly. And no, this is not rage bait. I actually do believe in these things. Y'all always say it's a rage bait, but never come up in debate. Y'all be scary, bro. Y'all scary out here.
Why is it that y'all always claim it's race, but y'all never raise your hand? I don't understand.
Never raise their hands.
I'm like, and mind you, I think a lot of these people are your fans because they be coming on burner accounts just to watch you.
Just to watch me, but the thing is, I understand. Like, look at this chocolatiness. You know what I mean? Look at this handsome face and this glorious bald head. You know, you feel me? They love it. And this smooth voice. They just love me.
A war with white people, y'all. What are y'all talking about?
It's always the same. No, they be on burner accounts because every time I click on it, it's 0 followers, 1 follower. They all on burner accounts.
I'm so confused. Like, but the one has like 2,032 followers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what? So addressing racism and systemic inequalities is going to war with white people? What are you talking about?
Yeah. These all they all just fanned out.
and it's literally just a debate about real life shit. It is literally not that serious.
Yeah, it's not as anyway. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here.
It's not.
I'm gonna get out of here. I appreciate you all. I appreciate everybody who watched me over on YouTube. You guys all wonderful. I appreciate everybody who watched me on Facebook.
They saying you started a war.
Starting a war.
What war are you starting with a microphone? I mean, granted, men with microphones that should actually be considered dangerous, to be quite frank. But you're not doing nothing.
Yeah, exactly. We seen we seen the microphones. We seen what happens with microphones. So yeah.
I'm like, I actually think it should be considered listen. I think men with microphones, it should be considered a national security issue. If I'm gonna be quite frank, okay, but you get to keep yours.
Yeah. I'm gonna keep mine. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here, y'all. I appreciate everybody being here. I love you all. Remember, y'all, we're all just dust on a rock floating around a big spall of gas. So be kind to each other. Hug your mother, hug your father, and happy Juneteenth.
So I'm like, sweet candy. The white people have already been going to war with black people. So,
yes.
So talking about racism does not make them want to go to. I'm like Donald Trump is in office because white people want to maintain racial supremacy and stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't know what you talk about.
Yeah.